Michael Burry, the investor who predicted the 2008 housing market crash and became the center of the film The Big Short, is quietly making bold moves again. Back in 2005, Burry saw something in the numbers that others ignored. He noticed that mortgage defaults were rising fast, even as everyone around him believed the housing market could never fall. While the media celebrated endless growth, Burry placed a bet against the system, and he won big. Millions of others, unfortunately, lost everything. Fast forward to 2025, and once again, Burry is making headlines, not with words, but with action. He just sold nearly half of the stocks in his portfolio. He's walking away from major companies like Alibaba and Baidu, names that most investors still trust. So the real question becomes, what does he see coming now? To understand why this matters, we need to understand how Michael Burry thinks. He's not a loud personality. He doesn't follow hype, trends, or quick profits. He studies the deeper patterns, the hidden cracks beneath the surface of the economy. In the first quarter of 2025, his investment firm, Scion Asset Management, cut its stock holdings from 13 to just 7 companies. That's a 46% reduction. And these weren't small or unstable stocks. These were large, respected businesses operating across tech, finance, and China's global growth engine. This isn't a random shuffle. It's a clear move to reduce risk and limit exposure. And Burry never does this without a reason. So what might that reason be? Look around. Stock markets are at all-time highs, but so is U.S. national debt, now over $36 trillion. Inflation remains stubborn even after aggressive interest rate hikes. China, once seen as the world's unstoppable growth machine, is showing real signs of slowdown. Youth unemployment there is hitting record highs, their real estate market is under stress, and supply chains remain fragile. At the same time, consumers in Western countries are piling up credit card debt just to keep up with rising prices, while their savings are running out. These are not just small warnings. They are the early signs of financial pressure building up across the globe. Burry's decision to sell off major holdings, especially those tied to China, is likely his way of saying, "I see risk. I'm getting out before the crowd does." This strategy is deeply logical. If you believe that the world is heading toward a slowdown or even a major financial reset, then reducing exposure now, while prices are still high, is a smart move. And if Burry is right, he won't just protect himself, he'll be ahead of everyone else once again. Remember, in 2008, the people who waited for confirmation were the ones who lost the most. But this video isn't just about Burry. It's about what we can learn from how he thinks. Most middle-class families work hard. They save what they can. But when markets crash, they often get hurt the most. Not because they made bad choices, but because they weren't prepared. They trusted the system to protect them. They followed the rules. But the system doesn't reward hard work. It rewards awareness, strategy, and timing. So how can you apply Burry's thinking in your own life? First, don't assume the current boom will last forever. Booms always look strong right before a fall. Second, examine your own financial setup. Are you depending too much on high-risk stocks? Are you holding assets that actually produce income or just hoping they go up in price? Do you have savings, or are you carrying silent debt that's growing with interest? These are the kinds of questions Burry asks, early, not after disaster strikes. More importantly, remember this. Michael Burry doesn't act out of fear. He acts from logic. He reads the data, makes a plan, and prepares ahead of time. You can do the same. You don't need millions to think smarter. You just need the willingness to step back, think clearly, and avoid being swept away by the crowd. So here's the final thought. You can either wait for the next crash to hit your doorstep, or you can learn to read the signs, like Burry does, and start preparing now. His actions are a signal, not a headline. He's not trying to be dramatic. He's trying to stay ahead. If this video gave you a new way of thinking, hit that like button. Subscribe for more clear, honest, and powerful lessons from the minds who move the market, not with noise, but with smart decisions. At Animated Money Markets, we don't just explain money, we decode the game the wealthy play in silence. So you don't get crushed when the system flips the script.